Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to bring in our next speaker, Hiba Okar. Hiba is currently the head of educational technology for the Bahrain Bayan School. Started working in educational sector as database and software administrator. Believes in technology's vital role in establishing student-centered learning that nurtures students to be 21st century skill learners. Let's go ahead and welcome Hiba on board.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all doing well and staying safe. My name is Hiba Okar. I'm head of technology in the Bahrain Bayan School. And thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given me to talk to such esteemed educators from all around the world. Today, I wanted to explore actually with you all concept that I've learned throughout my journey in educational technology, which is the concept of digital fluency. And I want to target specifically teachers in my presentation today. So in today's presentation, I'll go through defining digital fluency and its elements. Then we'll go through why I specifically picked teachers for this presentation. We will explore where we are now. We'll analyze where we are now, what is the situation in our educational systems and schools, and then we'll explore some next steps that educational institutions and schools might take to help build digital fluency. So I'll be using lots of resources, not lots, but I'll be using some resources and referring to some articles. If you would like to have access to those articles, you can scan the QR code or send me an email. I'll be happy to assist you. Now, before diving into the digital fluency itself, I would like to define the word fluent. What does fluent mean? When you talk in a context of a language, learning a new foreign language, how do you know that you are fluent in this language? Well, according to Karen Spencer, being fluent is to be flexible. It's derived from the word flow, and it means that you are accurate, you are appropriate. You know how to use the language tools efficiently and appropriately in the world. So, and I really liked the sentence by Karen. It is the way we use the language, skills, speech that flows naturally and easily. We do not put so much effort into building a sentence when we are fluent. We are creative. We know how to build up our speech, our skills, our language. We can create in that, well, whether it's a language or digital, that is where fluent is, it means. So now that we have a general understanding about the meaning of the word fluent, I'm sure that many of you heard about or tackled digital literacy in your schools, in your educational institutions throughout these years of COVID, of course. But what is the difference between fluency and literacy? Well, Clint Lalland wrote a very interesting article explaining the difference between fluency and literacy. So he mentions that while fluency is your ability to use the educational, the digital tools in your classroom and understand them, fluency has a more holistic meaning to it. And he encompasses these characteristics of being fluent, digitally fluent. First, he said, the ability to create and innovate. Digitally fluent educators are able to create content, are able to be creative in the context of using digital tools. So we're not just using the tools in the classroom, we're not just integrating whatever we have, but also we're able to create and innovate in this world of technology. The second aspect of it was being flexible. Being a digitally fluent educator is for you to be able to take those skills that you have and shift them to adopt, let's say, a new technology that comes out, to adapt to the changes of technology, We don't freak out when something changes. We know what to do when something changes, and this defines a digitally fluent educator. Most important characteristics, according to Laland, is the ability for me as an educator in my classroom to choose the right tools in the digital, to be digital in my learning practices. So it is my ability not just to take whatever is available, it is my ability to evaluate the tools that are in front of me and make the right choice that will help my students learn. This is a good position to move into the elements of digital fluency, and it is available in Spencer's article. There are 3 elements, leveled elements of digital fluency. It starts with being technically proficient. It starts with your device management. It starts with your ability to understand and select and use the technological systems in your classroom or your learning environments. Then you move forward into the digital and information literacy. So you take whatever skills that you learned, you know how to use this tool, you know how to use this software, well, let's apply it, let's explore it more, let's see how it works in the environment of the classroom. So this is where we stand in the cognitive and intellectual competency. So you are able to read, you're creating, you're evaluating, you're making judgments, you're utilizing all your knowledge in the technical knowledge into creating something for the learning environment. And the final one, and this is a very important aspect of being digitally fluent, it is the social competency or dispositional knowledge. It is very important as a digital fluent educators to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to collaborate with other users. It is our ability to relate to others and communicate with them effectively. So now that we have these 3 elements of digital fluency, why did I pick teachers and not students in this presentation? Well, let's remember that in any educational concept, we have to make sure that we go back to our main purpose. That is equipping students with the necessary tools and skills to excel in the future or in their lives, right? So it is important to know that what are our students capable of? Yet I'm still focusing on teachers right now, but hold on with me. Students right now have access to the different technologies in their lives. They use iPads, they use phones, they use everything at their homes, they play video games. So we assume as educators that they know about technology. We assume that they are digitally fluent, and this is a very wrong assumption. Even when you are a native Arabic speaker or native English speaker, you still learn at school the language tools necessary to build a proper outcome. That's why digital fluency must be taught in schools to students. What does teacher have to do with it? Well, teachers are ambassadors to students. They are the contact with students. They are the ones available with our students in the classroom. So we have to build the culture around the teachers to be able to build the culture for our students to be digitally fluent. The second aspect of it, which is very related to the first one, which is the shared responsibility. We have to give our educators the truth, the fact that it is a shared responsibility among every teacher to demonstrate digital fluency to their students, to promote it with their students. Being a digital educator does not just mean that I'm using lots of software in my classroom, does not mean just using so many devices, so many cool devices. It's not just about that. It's about promoting being a digital citizen. It's about making sure that you are using the technology with a purpose to enhance learning. A teacher in humanities can drive information literacy and being digital citizenship by incorporating copyright laws, by helping students know how to search online, how to curate information, how to gather information from credible resources, and so on. So it's not just responsibility of one department. It's not just the computer science, but it's also a shared responsibility among all subjects, and all teachers need to know that. The final reason, which is also a very important reason for us as educational institution, is the ability to help teachers adapt to the new technological enhancements. Technology is rapidly changing. Every day there is a new technology. We have Internet of Things, we have AI, we have virtual reality, augmented reality. All of these technological enhancements are available in this world. So we have to build practices that can adapt to these fast changes. And we can do that by equipping teachers with the necessary skills, digital skills, that will help them to adapt. Once we equip our teachers with these skills, we know that we are providing them with the tools to provide their students with the best learning experiences that they can. So let's ask ourselves a question. Are our educators digitally fluent? Are they? How do we know if they are or not? How do we assess our teachers? What can we do? Well, luckily, there has been a visual that has been presented by Wenmund that shows us the different elements of being digitally fluent with the 3 aspects of it. That gives us a visual on where our teacher, gives us an idea when we ask these questions, where are we now? So we start with a digital proficiency, which is device management, device knowledge. We know about the software, we know about the hardware, we know how to use them, and so on. So this is the basic knowledge. Then you move to an upper element, that is digital literacy. How can I integrate this software in my class? How can I collaborate with others? How can I use the technology regularly, and so on? Now, the final and holistic approach right now becomes, am I demonstrating an understanding of what it means to be digital? Am I being a digital citizen? Am I collaborating with other people in a very, very good, credible manner? Am I promoting digital citizenship in my classroom? This is where I define to have a digital fluent educator in my class. So right now, we have all of these levels of being digitally fluent. Where are we now? How can we define where we are now? Let's say you went into your school and you said, well, we are still digitally proficient. We didn't really reach the digital literacy. What could be the issues to that? Well, some of the main issues or the common issues that I've seen throughout my experience here is that, well, 1, teachers have false dispositions and mindsets. Whenever you bring up the word digital, they directly will think, oh, well, that will be in the computer science, or, oh, well, the IT department is responsible. But no, this is wrong, because promoting digital fluency for students as well is mainly a job of a teacher as well. Educator, every educator in the school is not just one department. So this is a false disposition, and this is caused by the second problem, which is the lack of professional development opportunities that promotes digital fluency. There are no professional development. Well, I'm sure every school is different, but these are just some of the problems that I've seen. So this professional development opportunity does not connect between raising a digitally fluent teachers or making sure that our educators are digitally fluent with their role as educator? Well, it's not something that is just dropped on teachers. It is something that has to be within their role as a teacher in the classroom. What do you do within your practice? So it's not something new that you promote, something that you have to integrate. You have to tell them about it. You have to inform them about it. And so on. The other issue is not having a proper framework that defines where you want your educators to be. So once you're hiring a teacher, where do you want your educator to be? Where is the teacher? What are the competencies that you want your educators? Is there a framework that is in the school's strategy or the institution's strategy plan that says, well, educators must have these competencies to be part of our community? And finally, there is a lack of connectivity in the schools themselves. So in the schools themselves, when you talk about their vision, they want to build 21st century skilled learners. Well, digital fluency actually is not a separate thing. It's not something different. It's not another thing that we want students to be. No, it's a part of it. Students, what are the 21st century skills? They are critical thinking, communication, creativity, information literacy, digital literacy, and so on. So it's part of it. It's not something different. So we have to ensure that we make this connectivity visible to our educators so they can see that when I'm promoting critical thinking, I can promote digital literacy as well, digital fluency as well. And that's it. So what do we do? What would be the next steps? How do we go from here? Now that we have analyzed the situation and we knew our issues and problems, what do we go from there? We first, as anything we do, set a goal or set a vision. Where do we want to be? Where do we want our schools and educational institutions to be? To me, I would like to see these three things in any school. And this is just me personally, of course, because every situation is different. So you as a school or you as an educational institution, you can just set your goals, set your visions around where you are now and where you want to be in the future. My first vision would be having all teachers having a full understanding of the digital fluency concept. They're not intimidated when you tell them digital fluency. They're not scared when you talk about the concept. They know what it means. They know how to promote it. They can give you evidence. I mean, many teachers could be doing this right now, especially because of COVID. Many teachers are doing this right now because of COVID, but they don't know that they're doing it. Putting it in that context, remove the intimidation of having, well, you are digitally fluent, you just don't know that. So putting it in a concept makes sure that you are achieving that goal. And here comes the other part of having a professional development platform that hosts, most importantly, collaborative efforts between teachers. So it's not just give them, teach them, and passive learning. No, they learn through collaboration. Teachers are like our students, our admin students, so they learn through collaboration. It's very important for us to give them the opportunities to collaborate, to learn from each other. A teacher implemented a technology that has been successful in building learning, well, they can share their experiences, what they could have been done right, what went wrong, and so on. So it's very important for us as schools or educational institutions to have a platform for collaboration and learning for teachers. And finally, it is important for educators to understand their role in emphasizing digital competencies in the classrooms. So once I understand what digital fluency, I have a collaborative platform. I am a digitally fluent educator. How am I going to implement that with my student? How am I going to make sure that my students actually show me digital competency, implement, demonstrate these digital competencies in my class? So to do that, how can we achieve our goals? How can we achieve our visions? Well, I'm relating to the three visions that I have presented. But again, if you have a plan, if you know where you are, just build upon it. For example, I would analyze and adopt a teacher competency framework. What does that mean? It means that the school will have a standard framework for teachers to build digital competency. Where do we want our educators to be? There are so many set of standards that you can utilize and adopt to make sure that your teachers actually are on the standard of being digitally competent. Then I will build a strategy for professional development. So I built a platform and I gave that platform for teachers. Will it be beneficial if I just gave it to them? No. As a school or educational institution, I have to build a strategy. I have to make sure that teachers actually have the time to go through this platform. They have this specific time to collaborate with each other. I have to give them the opportunities to collaborate. I have to build the strategy, the plan for them to be collaborating with each other. So it's very important to build a school-wide or institution-wide strategy that will help them in their professional development. And finally, introduce and implement a framework for building purposeful technology integration in the classroom. So they're digitally fluent, they have the PD opportunities. Now we have to integrate it in the classroom, make it part of your classroom, make it as a tool. It's not the purpose. Using technologies is not the purpose, it's not the goal. But integrating these technologies to enhance learning is our purpose. So here are some resources that I've learned throughout my journey about teacher competency framework, technology integration frameworks, and building strategies for PD. These are all great resources. And I'm sure there are lots of great resources online if you would like to take the first steps in building digital fluency. However, I have to say a final note, and it's very important, and we've all learned it through experience, I'm sure, that is, make it your own. When you want to adopt a framework, whether it's for tech integration or teacher competency, own it, make it your own, customize it to your needs, integrate it with your needs in the school. That way, it'll be an integral part of your, it will be an integral part of your school, that it'll be sustained for the longest time. It's not just something that has been imposed on your teachers. No, just make it something that goes for a long time in your school. And well, enjoy it, enjoy the process. It's a very interesting topic, and it's a very interesting journey to take with our teachers and our educators. So enjoy the journey of learning with your teachers, and enjoy teaching them and helping them be better educators for the best of education. Thank you so much for listening. I hope, I think I'll be taking inquiries now, if we have some time. Okay. Well, this is a very interesting question. It says, technology has become more than an optional choice for early adopters. How can school enable teachers to reimagine and redefine learning norms beyond classroom boundaries? Well, I believe You see, there's one thing that I've been telling the teachers, especially specifically for tech integration. I've been telling them that COVID did the work for us, actually. COVID worked with the teachers, pushed actually the teachers to imagine, to redefine whatever norms they had beyond the classroom. So teachers experienced blended learning, they experienced virtual learning, they experienced synchronous versus asynchronous learning. They had to use online assessment tools, they had to use so many devices and so on. So I believe that they took the experience, they got the experience while during COVID time. Unfortunately, it was unfortunate, but it was a great way to view to all educators how technology is important. And I think the only part now, our part would be making this change sustainable, to keep this change, to keep this purposeful usage of technology. So the follow-up question is, how can schools make sure they have the right technology and resources for teachers with additional learning needs and prepare challenges in the new world? Well, one of the strategies that we use in, let's say, for example, using software resources for the classroom teacher is the initiation of requests for the tools or for the software comes from teachers, classroom teachers. In that way, we make sure that this software or this tool is a proper tool for teachers. But just to make sure that we are in the right place, we have the most important word to me in the educational whole thing in the educational system is communication. Communication is how we can ensure that we are actually getting the right tools. Test, communicate with teachers, explore let them speak, let them talk to you, let them know that you're available to listen to their needs and then adapt to the requirements. So there is no right technology for me or for you. There is a right technology for this subject. There is a right technology for another subject. There is a right technology for a school in UAE that is different from the school in Bahrain and so on. So each school had their own needs and their own requirements, and we have to make sure that we listen to our educators and identify their need and then choose the right technology. The other question is for the first time, a window to not just a practice of Okay, this is a very interesting question, and this is actually a live question that has been for the past years during COVID. So for the first time, parents have been windowed not just their children's progress, but into what and how they learn. How can schools make sure there is a very effective and constructive communication in hybrid learning and digital technology? Well, again, it comes out with proper leadership in the school. I think this is the key point. It's proper leadership and guidance to our educators and parents as well. So I'm sure that every probably school went through this, where parents are attending the class with their kids and they're judging the teachers on how they perform the education. And this is where the school has to make sure to communicate to parents every single thing. So opening the line of communication between the school and the parents, listening to the parents, and then at the same time, we have to make sure that the leadership is clear on what are the rules of communication between educators and parents. So once we have guidelines, clear guidelines, it would be very effective for us to build hybrid and digital technologies. Parents understand their role, educators understand their role, there is a clear line of communication, and this is how we process it. There's no, of course, linear processes. It'll always be a mess, but at least you understand what will happen. The last question, how would technology change the future of education system and approach of measuring performance? Identify how to differentiate. Well, actually, I'll read this question out loud. How would technology change the future of education system and approach of measuring performance and identify how to differentiate students' learning abilities? Well, I think we're there almost. I think we are in the future where technology has affected big time the educational system. I mean, can you imagine a teacher without a laptop now? Can you imagine a student without a device now? We cannot do that. We do not have that. So it's very important for us to understand this technology boom that we have been through during COVID, and then select the tools that help us differentiate students' learning abilities. There are so many software that does that actually, and it's very, very good for the teachers in the classroom because that will help them in differentiating. I hope I answered all the questions. Thank you so much for listening, and I thank you for the organizers for this great opportunities. Have a great day.
A session full of energy and enthusiasm. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing the valuable inputs. Thank you so much.